Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Focus on the Families, Malaysia's first virtual parenting event. Well, special welcome to each of you. And I guess to the rest of you, this is not your first Focus on the Family Malaysia rodeo. So welcome back and thank you for your continued support. Okay, my name is Benny. I serve at Focus on the Family as the Executive Director. And this evening is my privilege to host this special forum together with some of our speakers. So please allow me to now just take a few moments to introduce to you the panelists and the speakers today, okay? So first we have Lee Wee Min. Maybe Wee Min, if you can just unmute and say hi and just wave to the crowd so they can identify you, which block you are, which square. Wee Min, you there?
Yes, hello everybody.
Thanks. Wee Min serves as the honorary chairman of Focus on the Family Malaysia, which he founded in 1997. He is also the Asia Regional Director for Focus on the Family Global, a role that he took on since 2007. Wee Min continues to actively provide strategic support to the board of the associate officers in Asia, also mentoring the CEOs as well as work with government bodies in different countries in Asia and the Middle East in the area of family development. Wee Min is happily married to Swee Chu. I think she's one of the participants somewhere in this Zoom, and they have 3 adult children. There's lots more to say about Wee Min, but maybe we'll leave him to fill in some of the blanks, okay? Next, we have Mrs. Tana Ing, and if I can ask her just to quickly unmute and just do a quick wave and hello. Hi, Hi Mrs. Tan. So Mrs. Tan has over a decade of experience in counseling. Mrs. Tan empowers married couples, parents and youth to mend broken relationships, find healing and recover from challenges such as extramarital affairs, divorce, abuse and depression. She holds a master's in counseling and is also an accredited Prepare Enrich facilitator. Ing also serves as a volunteer family counselor at Focus on the Family. She continues to inspire many with her own journey through 44 years of marriage and parenting 3 grown children and 2 grandchildren. Last but not least, I just want to introduce Dr. Vincent Wong. Dr. Vincent, are you there? Just unmute and say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being here. Dr. Vincent graduated with a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from University Malaya, and later he obtained a Master in Psychiatry from National University of Malaysia, UKM. Psychiatrist by profession, he helps people facing various mental health challenges and has given many talks on mental health issues, as well as family life and work-life balance. Dr. Vincent also serves as one of the board of directors at Focus. He is married to Shirley and is a father of 2 children. Okay, with that introduction, as most online events are, is quick and snappy. So let's get to the first question. Okay, and some of the questions we'll post it or we'll write it on the chat. So if you've missed it, you can check out not only the announcements and the schedule, but the questions will be posted at the site as well as associated links. Okay, first question. Focus on the Family Malaysia launched a contest at the beginning of MCO entitled Create Fun Family Moments. Why is it important to create fun family moments even during a time of crisis? If I can invite maybe Wee Min to answer this question.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I actually wrote a book called Parenting a Roller Coaster Experience. And one of the chapters happens to talk about family fun time. I realized that when I was writing this book, my mind just went back. In fact, it raced back to those times when I was a young child and how my parents were intentional in creating family fun time. And I believe that family fun time builds memories. And that's why I actually entitled the chapter as Family Fun Time Builds Memories. And I must admit that during the growing up years and my adult years, there were times when I was having challenges and difficulties. But to be able to think back to these family fun memories, it has helped me actually to go through many of these stressful situations. And therefore, in that particular book, I actually encourage people to find time to have family fun together. The second reason is that I have also been doing a bit of reading about fun and laughter. And I was reading about laughter in particular, and it says that when you laugh together with family and friends, actually it releases a hormone called endorphins. And I'm sure Dr. Vincent can verify this. And endorphin is that feel-good chemical that you have. And during a time when there is crisis, challenges like the COVID-19 with the lockdown, I think it is important. If anything, we should actually encourage family to have fun together, to have this endorphin that is being released to help them to feel good and to be able to overcome the challenges as opposed to being overcome by the challenges. So these are some of my answers. Maybe Dr. Vincent can add on to it.
Yeah, maybe I just invite Dr. Vincent for some additional thoughts on the importance of creating fun, positive moments during a time of crisis. Dr. Vincent.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Benny, for the question, and thanks, Wimin, for getting it started. I agree with Wimin when he said that when we have laughter as a family or friends, it releases this feel-good chemical. Yeah, be it endorphins or you can call it dopamine, and it bonds people together. Why is it important during this MCO that we need to still spend family time? Well, we know even though MCO could be a difficult period for a lot of people, but yet we are in a way also forced to stay at home and come together. Well, as a psychiatrist, I think it's only fair that I give you the medical and the psychological view on this. Number one, spending good family time actually build good memory bank in everyone. So the good memories actually lock into our brain, in our memory network, and this network stays there. So, we are not only spending time, but we're also building healthy memory bank of our children and the family. Number two is it promotes healthy emotional bank account. Okay, something like this. All of us have an emotional bank account. So when you spend good time together, you actually deposit, just like putting on deposit in your bank account, in your FD. So you have a lot of FD in your bank account. You're not worried about withdrawing your money. Sometimes you may correct your children, but they can take it because they have a very full emotional bank account. Thirdly is family bonding, as what Wimin has mentioned. We all heard that the saying which says that the family that prays together stays together. And I believe this is also true, that a family that plays together stays together. So how do we do it? Well, it's very simple. Just be intentional and set aside time, defend it with your life. For example, a friend of mine will set every Saturday night for family. They'll play, they'll chat, and they'll have fun. So back to you, Benny.
Thanks, Dr. Vincent. Thanks, Wimin, for great advice. I know Wimin did mention about the book, and I guess it's a plug-in, a shameless plug-in. He has written actually a wonderful book, Parenting a Roller Coaster Experience. In fact, there's a whole chapter on creating fun moments for the family. And yeah, encourage you to get a copy. If you'd like to, maybe we can just put the information on the chat. Okay, question 2. Even with the new CMCO, the conditional MCO, working from home is still part of what's being called the new normal. As working parents living in such unique and challenging times, we are not just stay-at-home moms and dads. In fact, most of us are tutors, discipline masters, cafeteria staff, cleaners, playmates, and the list goes on, okay? How can parents better cope in these stressful times? Okay, maybe at this point I'll invite maybe Mrs. Tan, if you can share your thoughts on this question.
Yeah, hello, and I believe it is important, first of all, for all parents to recognize, to acknowledge and accept that you're going to have to learn to cope with increasing demands. So I think firstly, set realistic expectations for yourself, for your children and other family members, because it will be like, in reality, juggling several jobs. And this will come with different sets of challenges. And especially if you have 8 children from different age groups, there will be a different set of challenges. So create a schedule for yourself, a routine, a schedule for everyone else, including the children, and then create a space also for your own work and for the children. But I believe the crucial key here is flexibility. So it's tough, right? Flexibility. So be flexible, parents. And that actually helps you cope and not get overly stressed. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Mrs. Tan. Really a great reminder that to set realistic expectations. Also, not only to balance creating a schedule and creating space with sufficient flexibility. Maybe you can invite Dr. Vincent maybe to share some of your thoughts as well for this question.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Tan has covered most of the important things like creating space and finding a work-life schedule. Just want to add on a little bit. Well, of course, the first person that I consult before about this question is my wife. She works at home even before the MCO, and I know she has been juggling, many things. Just like it's like juggling a few pots, a few pans, Now, so my wife actually shared this with me. She said, number one, get help from your spouse. So that's me. So I shouldn't think that, oh, I work outside and I come back, I'm tired, and you got to make sure everything is tidy up. No, we have to come in and put on a role as a husband and still see what we can chip in. Number one. Number two is rope everybody into the task. All right. So get everybody involved in whether it's cooking, as what Benny said just now, cooking, doing the laundry. Get them in, wash the toilet. I wash more toilet during MCO with my children. And these are all life skills. Yeah, life skill. I always tell them it's survival skills. And so in relation to this, let me share with you a very powerful study from Harvard University. And okay, it's study actually, it's called a Harvard Grant Study, and it's a study that spanned 75 years since 1938 and still ongoing until now. And they found that one of the single most important element for professional success in life, which we want for our children, yeah, am I right? Come from having done house chores as a kid. Yeah, you'll be amazed having done house chores as a kid. So yeah, so that's very powerful. Okay, so what are other ways that stay-at-home parents can help the children? For example, as what Mrs. Tan said, be flexible. And I want to just add on that, let's say you are working on something at home and your children come in and interrupt you. Look at it. Is it, are you really having an urgent meeting? If it's not, then perhaps you want to seize the moment. Yeah, I call it seize the moment and respond to your child and so that they find that you're approachable when they need you. Yeah. If you have something important or urgent, you tell them, Daddy or Mommy will come back to you later, and make sure you meet it. Yeah. So I guess that's all. Yeah, from me.
Well, thanks, Dr. Vincent. Like you, have also washed many more toilets during this MCO period. Thanks for your sharing, and really appreciate also your sharing on the grant study and some of the lessons. Okay, question number 3. I think it's not only parents who have to adjust, but I think the context of this question is our children also need to adjust, and they are adjusting as well. So question 3, with our children still being faced with school closures, usual activities like sports and music classes canceled, separation from friends, even our children can be equally anxious as they go through a lot of routine changes. And some of them are too young to even understand about the situation. So the question is, how can we as parents guide and help our children understand and adapt to their new normal? Maybe if I can get maybe the psychiatrist again, Dr. Vincent, maybe just to share your thoughts on this question.
Okay, how do we help our children to cope and to understand and to cope? Well, one of the games that we play during our family time is called the association game. All right. As a psychiatrist, I invented this game. So we basically ask them one word and then ask them what is the first thing in your mind that you would associate that word with. And so I mentioned COVID-19. So to my daughter, so what's the first word? She say dangerous. All right. So you see, the children perceive this pandemic as something, some of them scary or worrying, and they're so scared to go out. And as parents, it's our duty to talk to them and explain to them. So as a medical doctor, I actually explain to them the nature of the virus, how it's being spread, and how to protect ourselves. Because I don't want them to have this irrational fears. At the same time, you have to take precaution. So, second question is how to help them to adjust and to cope. We can basically divide them into the younger children, the preschoolers, and the elementary school 7 to 12 or 7 to 11, or the older children. The younger children, of course, they're more energetic and they're more restless, and they will probably go to the playground before the MCO. So now you have to kind of make them coop up at home. So what I did with my children, with my 11-year-old boy, we had a mini basketball game at our car park. Yeah, so we had a car park basketball time. Number two, we couldn't go out because if I go out, my wife would scold me. He said, hey, people may be taking photos and call the police or post it on the Facebook. So number two is be creative to create indoor games. There are so many more. I think my children love Lego, and I think, but bear in mind, I don't receive commission from Lego Malaysia. Number two, drawing. Yeah, you can try out some paint with numbers drawing. You can do board games, you can do card games, and many more. For the teenager, older one, just a note of caution is they may end up playing a lot of computer games or mobile games. So be aware and try to replace it with things like maybe learning some music instruments. I started picking up my rusted guitar, to play with my daughter during MCO. Yeah. Number two is you can explore writing or blogging, or start a healthy YouTube channel. My son started a YouTube channel and to do medic. Yeah. So I recently, lastly, I recently wrote an article in my website. Yeah, it's a website come blog. 10 things you can do during the lockdown. And you can find it on my website. Just Google Dr. Vincent Wong, psychiatrist. So back to you, Benny. Yeah.
Okay, we allow other shameless plugins, but you're our board of directors, so we encourage you to share your own website as well. Hey, thanks so much, Dr. Vincent. And maybe Wimin, can I invite you to also share a little bit of your experience?
Yeah, being a non-medical doctor, I only have 3 words. And actually, they are the same word, which is how do we guide our children during this new normal? And my 3 words are talk, talk, and talk. I think it's so important that we continue to talk with our children. It is said that as communication is to relationship, or rather as blood is to the body, communication is to relationship. I think at this time, it's important for us to talk to our children about our concern, and at the same time, talk to them about their concern, to really hear where they are coming from, to inculcate this two-way communication with them. The other thing is also to talk to your children about your schedule. In fact, I have this SDK formula. S for schedule for yourself the time that you need, but at the same time, schedule the time that they need from you as well. So once you have that schedule, I think it's important that you discuss with your children, that's D. And discussing with your children means that the children become aware that you are intentionally wanting to spend some time with them. And children feel good that my parents is willing to allocate and designate a certain block of time for them. And then, of course, the other one is K, is to, as I think Dr. Vincent alluded to that, is to make sure that we keep to that schedule and that discussion. If you have discussed with your child that you're going to spend time with him or her at 5 p.m., just make sure that you don't schedule a call at 4:45, and make sure that you have got a call that is going to finish way before 5 and allocate that time with them. I remember when my children, they are all adults now, when they were growing up, one of the things that they really appreciate is that I keep to the time that I promised that I will spend with them. Because they are actually judging us. The antenna is very, very sensitive as to whether we are men or women of integrity by actually keeping up to our promises. So talk to them about your concern, talk to them about your schedule, and talk to them about what is happening as well. Because I think it is really important that, I'm not too sure whether this situation will happen again, that we have so much time with our children, and we can definitely be doing so many meaningful projects with our children. Go into Dr. Vincent's website, but I would have got one project for you guys to think about. It's actually a 4-day project. You just go and go to the grocery shop tomorrow and buy some green peas. And with the green peas, you can actually grow tauge. Within 4 days, your tauge will sprout, and actually you got a homegrown tauge, which your children will be so fascinated to see it gradually growing and finally to the stage where you can actually harvest it and cook it to eat. So this is one project you can do as well. A 4-day project growing tauge together.
Thanks, Vimin. Thanks, Dr. Vincent. I have grown tauge with my my son Jeremy as well. Great fun. Thanks for the 3 T's and the SDK, scheduling, discussing, and keeping. Really appreciate your practical advice, both of you. Okay, we're moving to question 4 now. And for this one, I probably want to invite Mrs. Tan because of educational experience also. Question 4, ever since schools closed, our children have no choice but to start online schooling at home. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with this. Most parents feel responsible for their child's education, and for many, working from home and supporting their child's schoolwork is not easy. What can parents actually do when it comes to learning or schooling at home? Mrs. Tan, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah. I think the first thing is to accept that you are not your child's school teacher. And so while you are not expecting your children to do the same amount of work, it is important to keep your children engaged. So again, manage your expectations and perhaps ask yourself what your child really needs at this time and what is really important. So again, I think have a schedule, have a structure. Children, interestingly enough, they do need some form of structure. Whatever their age, they do need some form of structure. So perhaps have a checklist of tasks for the day and for the week. And also know your child. Some children do very well with independent learning in front of a computer, but some children struggle. So know your child and prioritize your child's greatest need at this time. And I believe the most important thing, this very unusual circumstance now, it is very important that what your child really needs is a relationship with you as the parent, and also their sense of safety, which is related to the earlier question, question 3. The children watching you actually are learning from you because you model what they should be feeling. So the sense of safety. So what is important, right? There are lots of free online resources, but do not be overly ambitious. Do not be overwhelmed. For example, for some of you, and especially I speak to some dads because I've had some conversations with some mothers and some fathers and even some young children. For some dads, high achiever dads, this may be your first time sitting down to coach your child. So dads, moms even, don't expect too much. Be age appropriate so that the child is not overwhelmed, and you as a parent, you do not become frustrated, disappointed, and angry. And this is an actual conversation I had with a child of about 6 going on to 7. And he was feeling so helpless and so overwhelmed. And related to the tauge growing, this is a good time, you know, to learn different things together. They can be fun and educational. Do you know that baking is a good activity to learn maths, gardening, handicraft for those of you who do enjoy craft? All right. And Dr. Vincent mentioned just now about screen time, except for me, probably I'm less strict than Dr. Vincent here, except that screen time will increase. And perhaps remind yourself not to be overly stressed about it, because I know many parents who are so stressed about their children going onto their handphones all the time. And for your teenage children, remember just now I mentioned your children of different ages. For your teenage children, the biggest battle now may not be schoolwork, you know. It could actually be their social lives. So allowing some time for your teenagers to play online games with their friends and chatting with their friends is not such a bad thing after all. But maybe it's a good time to learn from the tip women gave, to talk, to chat, to discuss, negotiate boundaries and supervision. So empower your children, right? Discuss with them boundaries and supervision. And so accept that this is a new normal for families, for yourselves and for your children. So don't compare, don't despair. Because as you compare, you will end up despairing. Where are you failing? Where are your children failing? So don't compare and don't despair. You know, it is interesting that you can be happy, healthy, frazzled, and sometimes upset. Accept that. It's okay to be upset sometimes. And don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard on your children and others around you. And I guess that's where homeschooling can be fun, can be successful, and everyone can be happy and not overwhelmed. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Mrs. Tan. I'm sure a lot of us resonated with that and appreciated the practical advice on routines and structure. Yeah, at Focus, we definitely believe that kids need that routine and structure. It helps them to keep safe with that structure, and such a basic but important reminder to prioritize your child's greatest need, and that's building a strong bond and relationship. And interesting insight on keep an eye on their social life too, because I think they're also adjusting very much on that aspect. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, speakers, for really sharing so much of your experience, your insight, and all the practical steps we as parents can take. I think there's also another part of parenting that we would like to highlight tonight, because we tend to overlook it amidst the demands of parenthood. So it's called marriage. So we have moved from being married to married with kids. And this current season has never been more chaotic and unpredictable, and perhaps we may have even failed to realize how much it has impacted our marriage too. So two quick but important questions to be considered on marriage. Maybe I can direct this to women first, this next question. On normal days, couples have some time off to spend away from their partner. But under today's circumstances, the spotlight is on each other 24/7. Differences may be magnified. Suddenly, you find yourself getting frustrated over every little thing that your spouse does. How do we navigate these differences? Women?
Yeah, I think the issue is not whether the spotlight is on 24 hours a day or 20 minutes a day. I think the issue is going to be the same whether it's 20 minutes or 24 hours. I think there are some basic part of marriage that we have to understand. And number one is I call it the 3 A's. Number one is the importance of acceptance. I think the very fact that you got married to your spouse is that you have accepted him or her. And I think that spirit of acceptance should continue to thrive in any marriage. Because when we begin to accept our wife, our spouse for who he is or who she is and who he may be, it gives a really good sense of security for the other person. If I'm willing to accept my wife for who she is, I'm giving her security. The other A is the importance of affirmation. I think the great psychologist Carl Jung has said that affirmation is the warmth to the soul of a person. And therefore, all of us thrive on being affirmed. If we have done something right, pick up those things that is good and that is right and affirm the other person. One of my favorite restaurant is the Lotus Restaurant. And if you go to Lotus Restaurant, there's always a quotation in the mirror where you actually wash your hand. And I can never forget this particular quote, which says, "The right that I do, no one remembers. But the wrong that I do, nobody forgets." And that's sad, isn't it? It's sad that sometimes we are not picking up the good of a person, especially of a spouse, and actually to continue to affirm the other person. So as acceptance gives security, I think affirmation is a constant gift we can give to our spouse. And the third A that if I can share with you, I use it for our father and son camp as well, it's aside. It's that who would be a better friend than your spouse? It is your spouse who's going to be by your side all the time. And if I can just share a little bit, I hope I won't take up too much time. When I had hepatitis A about 2 years ago, I was being hospitalized for 5 days. And I still remember during those times when I was being hospitalized, there were people who were coming to me to visit me. They come maybe for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. After that, they go away. Some of them may come again maybe after 3 or 4 days. But the person who was aside me all the time, the moment when I woke up till I sleep at night, was my wife. And therefore, if we can continue to remember that in any good spousal relationship, marriage relationship, let us remember to accept one another, to affirm one another, and to be a side of each other.
Thanks so much, Raymond. Yeah, also for sharing about when you had hepatitis A. Yeah, and yeah, I think truly all the men here, I think if there's one woman we can trust to be on our side, by our side, would be our wife. So yeah, let's remember the 3 A's: accept, affirm, and aside, by your side. Okay, I will ask maybe the second question. And for this question, if I can just invite 3 of our speakers as we maybe end the so-called the official segment before going on to the Q&A. If I can just invite Dr. Vincent, then Mrs. Tan, and then Vimin just to share some thoughts on this last one. How can couples continue to strengthen their marriage relationship during this new normal? Yeah, I think quite it's an important question to ask because I think the reality is we have entered and we are in the middle and the new normal I think may continue. So maybe I just hear thoughts and just invite Dr. Vincent to share a bit.
Thanks, Benny. It's a very big question, and my short and simple answer: how to strengthen the couple relationship. It's not easy. All right, it's a learning process. I have been married not too long, about 16 years, and two children, and it's been a roller coaster experience. Maybe I need to write a book like Mimi, the roller coaster experience with your marriage. Truly, we still argue, you know, we patch up, we, you know, I think generally it's not easy because I always believe that healthy couples need to have time together and also time for our own self. So it's like 2 circles coming in an overlap. You need the time for yourself, and then you had an overlap area, you have time for each other. But then again, you know, it's so important to make time to spend with your spouse. And because, let me share this quote with you, which I will never forget. This quote is coming from this author called John Wooden. John Wooden is a famous basketball coach in US. And he wrote this, he said this, okay? The best thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. Yeah. Let me repeat, the best thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. So if you love your children, it's even more important to strengthen your marriage. Okay, so how do we do that? I think I'll just share one simple tips. Make time. All right. During one of our marriage course, even as a psychiatrist, I still need to attend marriage course. Okay, there's a lot more to learn, and we attended it about, I think, 10 years ago, Alpha marriage course, and I pretty much forget most of the things, but I remember this thing called marriage time. Okay, and the abbreviation, you can use it as MT, right? M for marriage, T for time. And then I come up with this phrase. I told my wife, I said, if we don't spend MT, marriage time, our marriage will be empty. EMPTY. Okay, kosong. So it's so important to spend marriage time so that your marriage will not be empty. Yeah. So how do I spend time with my wife? I think it's important to find something in common among both of us. In any relationship, what bonds us together is when we do things together and enjoy it together. Yeah. Sometimes we will try to watch some movies together. Yeah. Or as a family. But two, my wife always enjoy a back rub. Yeah. Before sleep, and we try to give a nice massage or a rub for each other. So that's the love language called touch. Yeah. Number three, what else we do? Well, we have a lot of intellectual discussion of various topics, and like about mental health, about spiritual growth, about politics, especially during this time, economy. Let me give you an illustration. One day my son actually came and looked through my phone and said, "Daddy, I noticed that you have over 100 WhatsApp groups with mommy. 100 common WhatsApp groups." Okay, why are there so many? Is it? I said, yeah, of course we need to have a group to discuss children's things. We need to have a group to discuss about my current clinic. We have the group to discuss school issues. If they have some incident in school, we will put into the WhatsApp group. And we also have a group to discuss kids development, where we share thoughts. And last but not least, we have a group to share the latest coronavirus info. So we have all this group to update each other, and so that we can always have an intellectual discourse. So that's from my experience.
Thanks very much, Dr. Vincent. Mrs. Tan?
Yeah, I think as was in the question, it is so real that a lot more time together can reveal a lot more things that really annoy us about the other person. So I think it's a good time to learn to chill or relax with the criticism. And sometimes on the practical side, sometimes it is good to just keep quiet before we say something hurtful. Because actually the stress of being confined can trigger and bring to the surface a lot of negative emotions and memories. And memories from the past, traumas from the past can surface actually because of the stress. So with empathy, reaching out, bridging, to seek connection and safe conversations where you can each have differing opinions and still be friendly and kind. Yeah, so find a time for this. When the children are around you, may not be the best of time. So you have to find a time for this. And I think also, because we have been confined to one space, it is important to have some me time, some space alone. Even though you are in the best of marriage, I think it's good for all of us to have some space alone. So plan your day or plan your week for self-care. And I think for a lot of women here, it's a good reminder that self-care is not being selfish. Self-care is crucial. Self-care is vital for your marriage and for your role as a wife and a mother. So be specific to ask for what you need, but be kind. I think that's being practical, be kind. So often we forget to be kind to the one who's supposed to be closest to us. And finally, I think something that I need to remind myself often too, we've been married for more than 44 years, but even in the best of marriages, none of us are mind readers. And so often we expect our spouse to know, to read our minds. So none of us are mind readers, even in the best of marriages.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tan. Maybe we mean the last word on this. This is an important question, again, on strengthening marriage, especially during this new normal.
Yeah, I think a question like this, you can actually write a book out of a question like this, but I have only 2 words to advise. That's from the Latin phrase. I think some of you who have watched Dead Poets Society would remember this phrase, carpe diem, seize the day. Do what you can today as if tomorrow will never come. I'm not too sure whether we will have another experience like this, that we can have so much time with one another, but seize that opportunity. Do what we can today because tomorrow may never come. Also, the good old Confucius says that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Don't try and do all that we are suggesting over the last 40 minutes or so. Start with a simple thing that we can do with one another. Maybe do the first A. Maybe start by accepting. And you have done well in accepting, maybe do the second A, which is do the affirmation, just be intentional about affirming. Or for that matter, if you have done the 2, maybe then do the third one, which is constantly be aside and communicate with your spouse. So these are some of the thoughts that I have. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Raymond. And thank you all for, again, your participation, and thank you for your submission and votes for the Q&A. We'll go straight into it, and we'll try to cover as many as we can. There's quite a number. Some of them, there may be a bit of overlap, but because it's voted so highly, I'll just read it, and we'll invite the speakers to give their thoughts. First one, highest voted: young children have daily squabbles between siblings every day, and it is tiring to always deal with it. I feel tired and exhausted and also guilty. Any advice? I think one of those questions, again, that you can probably write a book, but maybe it's a 2-minute book. Can I just, any one of you would like to address the first question? Young children have daily squabbles between siblings every day, and it is tiring to always deal with it. I feel tired and exhausted and also guilty. Any advice?
I can share something on this. I remember reading a book, actually. This particular author on parenting, he's a little bit non-traditional. And he said that he has got 4 children, and he actually gives time each day for the children to complain whatever that they have, but they have a designated time. So it is like after meal, child number 1 gets 5 minutes, child number 2 gets 5 minutes, child number 3 gets 5 minutes, child number 4 gets 5 minutes to just express their discontent, maybe with the day, with school, with mom or with dad. And they actually take turns. So they actually structured it and regularized it. And this author was saying after a while, the children say, this is not a nice game anymore. And they start complaining about one another. Yeah.
Maybe, okay, maybe I can chip in regarding this question. Just give you an illustration of what happened during with my children. To put it in context, my daughter is 15 and my son is 11. The tip about how to manage squabbles between siblings is know when to stay away and when to chip in. All right. My children were just arguing about my daughter had to do a lot of school homework, all right, online homework, and she needed the tablet. Then my son said, "Oh, I have a video game sessions with my friends, a healthy one, just like what Mrs. Tan suggested." So I was very encouraging, and I want him to build connection. So he needed a tablet and a computer for the computer game. All right, it's actually a win, lose, or draw. Yeah. So they were saying they need the iPad now, Samsung tab. So finally, I said, "Emma, you guys talk about it. They didn't want to chip in. You guys find a solution, right?" So by the time I came down, I took my laptop down, and they found a solution. All right. So the solution is this: My son is going to use my laptop and set up the interface for my daughter's homework, school homework. He will go into the browser and everything. And then once he's all done, he will do it. And then he will just exchange the tablet and with my laptop, nicely set up for his teacher, for his sister. And so problem solved. I don't even need to chip in to say that, hey, you know, let the boy take the tablet, you know, he need to spend some time with his friends. If I do that, you know, it will be a win-lose situation where, you know, my daughter may resent, you know, or my son will get his way. So I will always let them talk about it. Say, you guys talk about it. And most of the time, they will be able to find a good solution. And then I compliment them for doing a good job. That what happened just a few days ago.
Thanks, Dr. Vincent.
Yeah, I think it's so important that the parent is not seen to be taking sides, because children perceive it, you know, as you are showing favoritism, and that might lead to resentment and might lead to more squabbles. Yeah, so sometimes just let them squabble for a while, as long as you're not hurting each other, and then only step in when necessary. I think it's part of growing up, right? As those of us who grew up with siblings, we know it's part of the process of refining and just growing up. Yeah.
Thanks very much. Okay, the second question that you all have voted, bit on screen time. I'm having problems I'm having a problem to manage my teenager who is glued to the laptop, the mobile phone, and the computer during the CMCO. Do you have any advice?
As I mentioned just now, I think having a discussion and negotiating and also asking to be given access, that means a measure of supervision and boundaries. And so if they see us to be fair, I think it can be done. Yeah.
Vimin or Dr. Vincent, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Ing completely that when it comes to a teenager, it's a different ball game. It's really not so much on you instructing and telling a teenager what to do, but really sitting down with him or her and just say, I noticed for the last 2 months, the time with the screen is a little bit too much. Can we just talk about reducing it, you know, so that at least we can do other things as well. So it's really talking, guiding, and just being there. Because at this stage, if you just want to be instructing still, you're just going to cause a lot of quarrel, you know, within the family.
Just a few words, just to add on to what Ing and Women has mentioned. I think the way to go about approaching this teenager who play a lot of computer games or mobile games is, I guess, first thing is to rebuild that connection with that person, with your teenager, with your young that young person. And remember I mentioned about emotional bank account. Yeah, so you have to check how much emotional bank account you have for each other. You know, how much emotional bank account in your child, how he perceive you, or in other words, you can call it the emotional tank. You know, is his or her emotional tank fill up nicely? You know, if he or she, I mean the teenager, is feeling love and you know, you care for them, and they will be more likely to listen to you and more likely to be persuaded, yeah, to listen to your reasoning. However, if their emotional tank is pretty low, then whatever commands or correction or discipline that you impose on may be seen as a rejection, as judgmental, as a criticism. So we go back to the basic, is review the emotional tank, emotional relationship, and build that relationship. I always remember this quote by this person who says that rules without relationship leads to rejection. I repeat, rules or discipline without relationship leads to rejection or rebellion. And this is a very good one. Good quote.
Thanks very much, panelists. If I could just go to the last one, maybe we've just got 3-4 more questions and then just some closing announcement for all of y'all. The third one, third rated, highest rated, is this question that was asked. One of my children is more strong-willed, and I find it very difficult to encourage the child to do homework. So how to deal with this? So we're talking about strong-willed children as opposed to, I guess, what we know as compliant children. So find it very difficult to encourage the child to do homework. How do we deal with this? Yes, maybe final words from each of you. Mrs. Tan?
I think sometimes strong-willed children, they tend to work better independently. And so I think, again, the word affirm. So build on the strength of that child. Because strong-willed children can actually be also very driven children. And so if we can actually work on that strength and find that strength and actually encourage that strength and encourage independent work, you'll be surprised actually this child may be able to do more. Because sometimes we see strong-willed children as something bad, but I always see strong-willed children excelling, because if they're encouraged and affirmed, actually strong-willed children can actually soar high. Yeah. So we do not see it as a problem. We see it as a strength. And when we start on that basis, I think you'll be surprised how much that strong-willed child can do, because they actually thrive with independent study. They thrive with empowerment.
Thanks, Mrs. Tan. Anyone else? Women or Dr.
Yeah,
Vincent?
I like to promote Dr. Dobson, the founder of Focus on the Family book, The Strong-Willed Child. If you have not read it, it's really a classic. Dr. Dobson has done a lot of research about strong-willed children as well, and also to confirm some of the things that Ah Eng says. If you have got a strong-willed child, he's going to be potentially the next Prime Minister of Malaysia, because most Prime Ministers are strong-willed people. So take heart, you know, and but a lot of guidance, a lot of discussion. Doesn't mean that he doesn't do his homework, means that he doesn't have to. But I think when you sit down with him and just say that you just need to spend some time, tell me when is the best time for you to do your homework. If you can get them to agree on the time and the amount of time, because they are strong-willed, they probably will keep to it because you have guided them to make the decision. A strong-willed child will challenge you. If you tell them that I want you to do 2 hours of work, they will challenge you simply because of the fact they are strong-willed. But if you can get them to take ownership of that time, then because of their strong will, you are using that strong will for their benefit, and they will abide by it. Yeah, but read the book.
Thanks, Vimin. In fact, I'll just jump in because I think we are short on time, but just give me 2 more minutes. There is an exciting announcement a bit later. But first, before I close, if you've enjoyed this session, just do give everyone, especially the speakers, a virtual thumbs up. And before we do say goodbye, we hope you will help fill up our online feedback form. I think we always appreciate honest feedback from our participants. So help us improve. And please do copy and paste the link. I think it's on your chat. Don't mind just copy and paste it on your browser later. And we would really love to hear from you. So get that down. Final 2 announcements. First is counseling support. I think I think all of you agree, and it's cliche, but it's true. It's unprecedented times, and this can be overwhelming for many of us and our friends. So if you all need a listening ear, our team of trained counselors are able to help. Please just visit our website and get help, and we're happy to meet with them. Second is, this is exciting news. In conjunction with International Family Day, this Friday, 15th May, Focus on the Family Asia has invited Dr. Greg and Erin Smalley, they are marriage experts, to share practical insights on how you can keep your marriage strong during the crisis. So the event will take place on our Facebook, the Malaysia Facebook live stream at 8 p.m. on Friday. So just go to visit our Facebook to get that reminder, or just come on board 8 p.m. This coming Friday on International Family Day. Join us on that live stream. And final words, thank you again for your participation, your support, and again, special thanks to Vimin, Mrs. Tana Ing, and Dr. Vincent for sharing really their rich experience and all the practical advice. So on behalf of all of us at Focus on the Family Malaysia, we just wish all of you a good night, and we hope to see you again soon.